take a shot every time I say, I don't feel compelled to read it. You'll be fucking hammered by the halfway point in this video. Hey everybody, my name is Sam. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a ridiculously large book unhaul because I was getting overwhelmed by the number of books that I had on my shelf that I either had never read, that had been sitting there for like 4 years or more, honestly, or by the number of books that like I had read but that were just like taking up shelf space that I'm probably never going to reread. So I decided that I needed to go through my shelves, get rid of a bunch of shit, and reorganize, which is why, as you can see, my shelves have been rearranged a bit. Anyway, I am unhauling a grand total of 90 books, and some of them I plan on giving to people I know, and some I plan on donating for various reasons, and some of them I'm either just going to give to Goodwill or I'm going to try to sell them to like half-price books. This is going to be probably a kind of long video. I had to refresh my beverage. This is a pint of wine, in case you were wondering, because that's just how I live my life. I guess we should just get started. I'm going to start with the ones that I intend on sending to a friend of mine. I actually very much like all of these books, but I have a friend who is about to have a tiny little baby, and I want to send her these books because I think that her new little child will get much better use out of them than I, a 30-year-old woman, will. So first I have This Is Not My Hat by John Klassen. This is one of the cutest fucking picture books I've ever read in my life. Like, honestly, if you've never read it and you're just at like Barnes & Noble or wherever and you see it, just like pick it up and read it because it's fucking adorable. Next, I have Eliza, the story of Elizabeth Schuyler Hamilton by Margaret McNamara, with art by Esme Shapiro. I really liked this book. I bought this book somewhat recently, actually. I pre-ordered it. This was a really cute, like, history lesson about the life of Eliza Hamilton, and I really enjoyed it, but odds are good that I'm not going to reread it. And then I have my copies of the 4 books in the Cat Wings series by Ursula K. Le Guin. You guys remember me talking about these. I liked them a lot. So we have Cat Wings, Cat Wings Return, A Wonderful Alexander and the Cat Wings, and Jane on Her Own. I love these books. They're adorable. But again, I am a 30-year-old woman, and I actually didn't read these until last year, and I just think that I want these to go to like a young child who can maybe have these be like some of the books that they have when they first learn to read, because I think that they have a certain kind of magic that can be best appreciated by children. Next, I have the books that I'm going to be donating to like local organizations, either to literacy services or to maybe like a family shelter or something. These are mostly like middle grade books, and a lot of them are like Newbery Medal winners from years past. I did keep a couple that like have some special significance to me and my life, but the rest of these, I think that I would rather donate them somewhere where an actual like middle grade aged child will have access to them that might not otherwise have access to them, if that makes sense. So first I have Rules by Cynthia Lord. This cover makes me giggle, and I like it. The Slave Dancer by Paula Fox. Hope Was Here by Joan Bauer. The Good Master by Kate Cerity. The Mostly True Adventures of Homer P. Figg by Rodman Philbrick. Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry by Mildred D. Taylor. I read this book in middle school and very much enjoyed it. Hoot by Carl Hyacin. The Grey King by Susan Cooper. The Undertaker's Gone Bananas by Paul Zindel. I have another Paul Zindel book that I mentioned in a video that I made like right when I started my channel that's called My Darling, My Hamburger, that my mom bought for me. That one's more of like a young adult teenage drama. This one's about like some kids who play a lot of practical jokes and they think that the Undertaker murdered his wife, and it just seems like a goofy, fun one that I think a middle school kid will better appreciate than I will personally. Island of the Blue Dolphins by Scott Odell, The Black Cauldron by Lloyd Alexander, and finally, my box set of All the Wrong Questions by Lemony Snicket. I bought these books with the full intention of reading all of them. I love the series of Unfortunate Events books, as you all well know. I've talked about them a lot. I have a tattoo for that series. It means a lot to me and has since I was pretty young. But I bought this box set like a year and a half ago-ish, and I read the first book, and this series seems to be targeted to a slightly younger audience than the series of Unfortunate Events does, and it felt too young for me. This is already gonna be a long motherfucking video. Next, I'm just gonna grab a stack and talk about it, because like I said, the rest of these are in no kind of real order. They're just all over my floor, but these are the ones that I am going to probably sell to half price so that I can get some money for my vacation that's coming up, because your girl could use it. Anyway, first I've got some like romance books that I've had for a while that I got at like an author event, and I'm just not going to read them. I'm not going to. And that is Kiss the Girl by Melissa Braden, Women Under Fire by Jackie Delecki, who is apparently an award-winning author. I have personally never heard of her. The Destiny Trilogy by Michelle Callahan has a lovely shirtless man on the cover. That might appeal to somebody. Nome, Alaska, a zany romantic comedy by Jennifer Zane. This is part of a series. I think this is book like 3 or something. Red Knight, which is book 1 in the Time Walker Chronicles by Michelle Callahan. Again, I'm just not going to read these. I've had most of these books since like 2014 or 2015, and I haven't gotten to them, and I just don't think I'm going to. Romance isn't really my thing, and I just don't think that I'm ever gonna decide suddenly that I need to read those. Next I have The Inferno by Dante Alighieri. I have a copy of the full Divine Comedy, so I just don't need to keep a copy of just The Inferno. Although I just posted a haul video where like I got second copies of books I already own, so like you figure out my brain, because I fucking can't. Loose Girl, that's 2 books. Loose Girl, A Memoir of Promiscuity by Carrie Cohen. I read this a long time ago, 2008-ish, 2009-ish, something along those lines. I remember enjoying reading it at the time, but it hasn't really stuck with me, and I have yet to reread it in the past decade, so I'm likely not going to. I feel like you need to burp, and it's just like, oh, there it is. Then I have The Care Bears Help Chase Colds, a practical cough and cold care guide for the entire family. A gift from Dorsey Laboratories. This was in a box of books that my mom sent home with me and was like, these are your books, I found them in the basement. I have no recollection of ever owning this little pamphlet, but it tells you about what to do when you have a cold, and I've got a pretty good handle on that at this point in my life, so that can be passed along. The Amityville Horror by Jay Anson. I read this in August, and it was mediocre at best. Heavy Weather by Bruce Sterling. This is just a thriller that like my husband found for me, and I read the synopsis, and it's just like not jumping out at me. If I'm gonna pick up a thriller, this ain't it, honey. Oh, I hope I didn't move the whole motherfucking camera, but I might have. The Memory Keeper's Daughter by Kim Edwards. I bought this at a book sale that my old job was having like 2.5 years ago. And at the time it sounded interesting, but it's like kind of a historical drama. I read the synopsis again when I was going through my books, and I was like, this doesn't sound like something I want to read, so I'm not gonna. A Walk to Remember by Nicholas Sparks. I'll be honest, I prefer the movie. They're very different though, like they're very different. And then I have Chocolate Days by Elaine Moore. This is a book that I read in like middle school. The Notebook by Nicholas Sparks. Again, to be totally honest, if I want to consume this story, I'd rather watch the movie. I don't need to talk about it. Similarly to that, I've been holding on to this motherfucking book since I read it in 2015. I literally only keep this book so that I can talk about how much I don't like this book. This is taking up a lot of valuable shelf space when I can just put a goddamn picture on the screen when I talk about it. Next we have The Long Hard Road Out of Hell by Marilyn Manson with Neil Strauss. I read this when I was an edgy fucking teenager. I was really into Marilyn Manson. I still listen to Marilyn Manson, especially like if I'm working out, because it just gets me real pumped. But like, I'm not gonna reread his autobiography. There's some weird shit in there that I don't need to revisit. Fortune's Daughter by Alice Hoffman. I enjoyed Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman, and I've read one other book of hers that I can't even remember the title of right now, so it clearly didn't stick with me that much. If I ever want to read it, I'll just get it from the library. The Rossetti Letter by Christy Phillips. This I got because somebody had a second copy of it, but it's been sitting on my shelf for a couple years. Again, if I ever really feel super compelled to read it, I can get it from the library. I just don't feel an attachment to this book. And for a similar reason, The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield. I was gonna read this for like my Read Harder challenge in 2017, and I didn't. Like, I've had this for a few years. I've yet to feel compelled to pick this book up. It's taking up valuable shelf space. I've got Julie and Julia, My Year of Cooking Dangerously by Julie Powell. I'm not super into these like journey of self-discovery, women's fiction-y books. I don't feel compelled to read this one either. Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. I've actually read this book twice. I like it okay, but I'm not going to read the rest of the series, and honestly, I really preferred consuming this in audio format, and I have the audiobook, so I just don't feel the need to keep the paperback copy. The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. I bought this at a book sale like 5 years ago. I don't feel compelled to read it. There's a lot of books in this unhaul that I bought at that same book sale because I was just going fucking hog wild. Blessed Are the Cheesemakers by Sarah Kate Lynch. I bought it because of the title. Her Fearful Symmetry by Audrey Niffenegger. I bought this because I wanted to read The Time Traveler's Wife, and it's by the same author. And I was like, they didn't have that at the book sale. They had this one, and I was like, maybe I'll also be intrigued by this one. And it sat on my shelf for 4.5 years. Fairy Tale by Sin Balag. Chin Balog, I don't know. I bought this at that same book sale. It's something about fairy tales. It involves a fortune cookie. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I've got The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry by Gabrielle Zevin. I bought this because a lot of people that I knew through BookTube were reading it a few years ago, and I was gonna read it around that same time. And then more and more people started posting wrap-ups and reviews with this book in it, and none of them particularly liked it. Paper Towns by John Green. I've read this book also twice, once through audio, once through regular. It was fine, but honestly not something I need to have and own forever. It's very unpopular. White boy wants the hot girl who's like very much the manic pixie dream girl, and I don't care. I realize that John Green tried to like subvert the manic pixie dream girl trope in this, but I don't think he did it particularly successfully. And if you'd like a video about why I feel that way, let me know. And then I have 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. I read this. I'm not going to reread it. The whole concept's a little weird. Snakes and Earrings by Hitomi Kanehara. This is literally the weirdest fucking book I've ever read in my life. If you ever want to feel deeply disturbed after reading like 120 pages, this is the one for you. Withering Tights by Louise Renison, which I bought because it is a play on Wuthering Heights, which is my favorite classic. Every Day by David Levithan. David Levithan is one of the two authors of Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, which is one of my favorite YA books. I've loved it since like my senior year of high school. But this, I haven't gotten to it. I'm not going to. I've heard there's some like kind of not cool language in here. It's like kind of fat phobic. Then I have the complete Wyndham Werewolves collection by Chantel Madison. I have a couple Chantel Madison books, and I think the other one I have is also in this unhaul. I've met Chantel Madison at an author event. She's incredibly sweet, very nice, but she writes like paranormal romance for a young adult audience, and that's just like hits a lot of boxes that just like aren't for me. Sure shit do have the other Chantel Madison book in this unhaul. This is Cursed, which is a collection of short stories from like the Coveted series that she also wrote. I'm dropping shit even further on the ground than I intend to. All right, then I have A Court of Thorns and Roses and A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. I bought these because I wanted to read them. I don't think I do anymore. The more time has gone on, the less I feel compelled to pick these up. Flowers in the Attic by V.C. Andrews. She's just not the one for me. You know, I read this back in April. I finished it during my first Dewey's 24-hour readathon, and initially I felt like meh about it. It's really dark, there's a lot of drama, but like a lot of the subject matter just makes me genuinely uncomfortable, and I don't think it's handled well. A bind-up of His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman. I read these books when I was in high school, and I really liked them. The only reason I'm getting rid of this is because I'm not a huge fan of these like multiple books in one volume thing, and I also recently got new copies of these books in a box set, and I got the UK editions, which are apparently different. Like they did some updating and censoring when it came to the US. So if I'm gonna read it, I'd rather read the original. We have more. We have so much more. I need a drink. Hold on. All right, we've got A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. I just need to let it go. You know, like I keep saying, yeah, I'm gonna get to those. I'm like, I probably will eventually, but like I don't think, like I'll probably fucking listen to the audiobook. Beloved by Toni Morrison. I got a new copy of this. You can see it in my last haul video. The Guardian by Nicholas Sparks. This is actually one of the couple Nicholas Sparks books that I enjoyed when I read it. It's got like some more like thrillery aspects. It's not like just a straight up romance, but like I don't want to keep this for personal reasons that I just don't need to discuss on the internet. And then I have The Last Song by Nicholas Sparks. This is like everything I don't enjoy. The Wicked Girls by Alex Marwood. This is like kind of thriller mystery-ish. Definitely more mystery than thriller, but it's got some thriller elements. And I actually did enjoy this. I enjoyed this a decent amount when I read it, but I don't think I enjoyed it enough to feel the need to own it. Like, I'm probably not going to reread it. The Devil Wears Prada by Lauren Weisberger. The movie's better. I will watch that movie like over and over again, but the book like once was enough. Mr. Maybe by Jane Green. This is like a contemporary romance rom-com type thing. I've had this since 2014. I still haven't read it. Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. I read this a couple years ago, and as I was reading it, I enjoyed it, but the more I've like thought about it, the more I've let it sit and kind of like marinate in my brain, you know, the more uneasy I feel about it. Faith and Fidelity by Tara Michaels, and it's like a gay for you, male-male romance type situation. If I'm gonna read those, I'm probably gonna read Damon Suede. Let's be real. I'm getting rid of my Tarzan books. Tarzan of the Apes, The Return of Tarzan, The Beast of Tarzan and the Son of Tarzan in one volume, Tarzan and the Jewels of Opar, and Tarzan and the Ant-Men, all by Edgar Rice Burroughs. I was trying to get the whole series, but that series is fucking absurdly long, and I was paying for them at like half-price books. I have yet to read even one of them, and if I ever do want to, they're like old enough at this point, they're from like the very early 1900s, that I can probably find them for free on Kindle. I don't need this kind of shelf space being taken up, especially because I have these on my vintage sci-fi shelf, and like, girl, I have enough vintage sci-fi that I don't need to be like losing this shelf space. All right, and then I have, and this pains me, this makes me so sad, I have Dinosaur Planet and Dinosaur Planet Survivors by Anne McCaffrey. I enjoyed Anne McCaffrey. I did not enjoy Dinosaur Planet. I couldn't finish it. It just like, it couldn't do it. It was not well done. Heart of Darkness and The Secret Sharer by Joseph Conrad. I have not read The Secret Sharer, but I read Heart of Darkness this year. I did not like it. I don't think I'm going to pick up The Secret Sharer because I disliked Heart of Darkness enough that I feel no desire to read anything else by Joseph Conrad. Ariel by Sylvia Plath. I actually fucking love this book. This is one of my favorite poetry collections ever. This book was published posthumously Sylvia Plath wrote these poems in the last like couple months of her life. The original version that was published, which is this one, was not the collection that she meant for it to be. So like her ex-husband, he gathered together a bunch of poems and put them in a different order than she had them and replaced some of the poems with other ones that she had previously written. And I got a new copy of this that's like the restored edition that is a pieced together version of what her original manuscript looked like. All right, and then I'm getting rid of The Princess Saves Herself in this one and The Witch Doesn't Burn in this one by Amanda Lovelace. I enjoyed The Princess Saves Herself in this one, enjoyed The Witch Doesn't Burn in this one less. Reading drama, an anthology of plays. This is from high school. These were very useful when I was studying theater and when I was performing in a bunch of theater, but like I'm not gonna go back and reread The Glass Menagerie. I have Red Rain by R.L. Stine. My husband bought this for me at like a book fair. Everything I've heard about this book, it's like an adult novel by R.L. Stine, everything I've heard about it is abysmal. The Complete Dracula graphic novel adaptation from Dynamite Comics. I love Dracula. I love Dracula very, very much, but this is this tiny little graphic novel adaptation, and I really like the art in it, but I didn't like the way the story was adapted. Okay, this is the last stack of books, so like, we're almost there. We have Naked Came the Manatee by a fuckload of authors. This is like a novel where every author like wrote a chapter. Life of Pi by Ian Martell. I've had it for a long time and I haven't gotten to it. And if I ever really feel the need to read it again, I'll just get it from the library. I don't have anything against this book in theory. It's just not something I would usually pick up. Summer Sisters by Judy Blume. This is an adult novel that Judy Blume wrote, and it's probably pretty good. What the fuck? It was like, probably, no. I enjoyed Judy Blume when I was younger, and this is about like estranged best friends, but again, I'm just not super into like general women's fiction, and that's the vibes I'm getting from this. And I've had it for, again, several years and have yet to feel the need to pick it up. So I'm not going to keep it. This is really repetitive. Sorry about it. Board of the Rings, a parody from the Harvard Lampoon. Somebody bought this for me. It was like Christmas 2012, I think. I'm not a fan of Lord of the Rings. I think that those books are overrated. I can feel you all unsubscribing now, but like they're not for me. An old coworker had bought this for me. Ishmael, My Ishmael, and The Story of Bee by Daniel Quinn. Of these three books, I've only read the first one, Ishmael, and I did actually really enjoy it. It made me think about some things that I had not otherwise thought about, but I haven't read it in years and I don't know that I'm going to reread it, and I've yet to feel the need to pick up either of the other two books. So I'm not going to keep them. And then I have my second copy of, well, technically my first copy of The Neverending Story by Michael Ende. I've held on to this for a pretty long time. I have another copy over here somewhere. This copy's like got a broken spine and it's kind of fucked up. It's like an old library edition, but I have kept this because I wanted to have it in case I needed to loan it out to somebody because I didn't want to give out my good copy. But I haven't loaned this book out in a long time, and I don't generally loan my books out to people that I don't trust anymore, so I'm not keeping copies just for lending anymore. Incidentally, though, if you haven't read this book and you want to, you should let me know, and I could send this copy to you. Like I said, it's in an old library like cover, and the spine's cracked, but this book's not super easy to track down, and if you're gonna read it, you should definitely read it in the hardcover, so if you want it, let me know. I'll mail it to you. That was the last book. We did it, guys. We made it through. It only took 1,000 years. But let me know if you've read any of these books that I'm getting rid of and you really feel like I should keep them. I'm probably not going to anyway, though, but like, just let me know. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know how you feel about unhauls. What's the largest number of books you've unhauled at one time? Talk to me about your favorite kind of baked good. I like banana bread. Anyway, have a great day, guys. Bye.